At this point, we all know that Mario Kart World contains some incredible music. The whole collection is a treasure trove of memorable pieces, old and new, that we can keep coming back to for decades to come. That said, not every single piece can be a hit. There will always be tunes that resonate with us more deeply than others, and that's exactly what I'm ranking in today's video. We'll be going over through the music that plays on each course and rank them from worst to best. For now, we're just going to stick with the pieces that play when you're actually racing on the course itself, rather than the 200 plus pieces that could play during the intermission and transition segments. All in all, this will be 30 tracks we'll be ranking because, although there are 32 courses in the game, both Crown City and Peach Stadium show up twice among the cups. Alright, let's get into it. Starting at number 30, we've got Shy Guy Bazaar. I'll start off by saying that this tune was never one of my favorites to begin with, and although it's a solid enough remake, I'm not a fan of the lead instrument they chose to use here, and the arrangement just feels like it's lacking a little oomph behind it. The percussion does lend a nice groove though. Next up, at number 29, we've got Desert Hills. This one suffers from the same issue as Shy Guy Bazaar. The tune itself was never one of my favorites, and although the remake maintains the groove and funkiness of the original, it just feels a tad empty overall. I think a good course alternative would have been Dry Dry Ruins from Mario Kart Wii, and the remix they did of that tune is absolutely killer. At number 28, we have Bowser's Castle. Let me explain. I'm a sucker for melodies that are immediately catchy upon the first listen, and this theme never really did that for me. It's got that metal flair that we now associate with Bowser's Castle, but the arrangement feels overcompressed and too in-your-face for me, making it overly chaotic and crazy. But maybe that was the intention. I personally love the course itself much more than the music it comes with. In other words, it's a bit one-dimensional, while other tracks on this list tell more of a story throughout its duration. Dino Dino Jungle is next at number 27, and while the drums and percussions are wonderful, the rest of the arrangement is just a little bit plain. I do enjoy the guitars throughout and they add a certain intensity, but I can't help but feel this arrangement could have been juicier. It also doesn't help that the original wasn't a favorite to begin with either, but I was hoping to be more impressed with this remix. Another case where the course looks a lot better than how the music sounds in my opinion. At number 26, we've got Moo Moo Meadows. It certainly wasn't my favorite course in Mario Kart Wii, and to see it brought back again and again doesn't do it any favors. Musically, it's not bad at all. It strikes a similar chord to Moo Moo Farm and Yoshi Valley from Mario Kart 64. It's just there. The addition of lush strings to the B section definitely makes this piece sound more pleasant, but otherwise it's still Moo Moo Meadows. Dandelion Depths takes the 25th spot here, in large part due to just the melody itself. I do appreciate the syncopation throughout, but it jumps around so much that it's difficult to latch onto it, and I find it difficult to remember even after 10 plus listens. The harmonic language is interesting throughout the use of modal mixture, but all in all, I just don't find it very memorable and just a bit unnecessarily chaotic. I do give the intro some points for sounding like Wario Shipyard though. At number 24, we've got Cheep Cheep Falls. The Asian flair definitely adds to the uniqueness of this track, and I do enjoy the rock elements mixed in, similar to Ninja Hideaway from Tour. But this is another one of those pieces that just isn't that memorable to me right now. The woodwinds are beautiful and the overall arrangement is solid, but the harmonic language is a bit on the simpler side and doesn't really enhance the melody all that much here. Wario Stadium is my pick for number 23. The rock elements give this remix a nice kick along with the big band treatment, but there's not that much going on in the high end aside from those trumpets and organ to fill in the rest of the space. I've always found this piece quite simplistic as well, and there's only so much you can do to spruce it up without straying too much from the source material. Not a bad remake, but just a tad plain for me. Next up at number 22, we've got another Wario track with Wario Shipyard. The strings are a welcome addition here, especially while counterplaying with the lead guitar melody and taking over the B section. This is a melody that's grown on me over time, but again, it's never been one of my favorites. The drums pack a punch and do cut well through the mix though, adding some intensity and grit to the racing experience. At number 21, we've got Choco Mountain. Although this is a great tune, I've never found it really clicked with me, perhaps just because I never really enjoyed the course itself all that much. The second half of this piece also carries on for quite a while, meandering through before looping back to the beginning. This remix does do a good job at adding energy and grit with those guitars and drums, but otherwise it's still Choco Mountain. I have to admit I was a bit taken aback by the remix of Koopa Troopa Beach when I first heard it in my reaction video, but not necessarily in a good way. I've always associated this tune with a light beach vibe that you can relax to instead of electronic trance. It's definitely different, but I find this remix a bit too much in your face, and I prefer the more laid-back approach of the original. That's why it's at number 20. It's not bad at all, but it's just not the sort of remix that really gels with me personally. Next up, we've got Airship Fortress at number 19. This is definitely a solid remake. We've got the groovy drums, light string staccatos going on in the background, and the harmonica guitar combo in octaves playing the melody is a cool choice. I just wish the arrangement overall had a bit more punch. Maybe the drums could have been compressed a tad more or had another kick sample layered on top for a more biting attack. The strings taking over the melody in the B section is also a welcome choice, not one that I expected, but I do like it. At number 18, we've got Toad's Factory. Absolutely a track that many fans wanted brought back, and along with it, we've got a pretty good remix with it as well. Again, one of those tunes that was never really my favorite from Wii, but I can appreciate its catchiness and overall groove. The live elements combined with the synths come together to create a satisfying arrangement, and definitely stays true to the spirit of the original Toad's Factory. Whistlestop Summit takes the 17th spot, and a super lively arrangement combined with modal mixture and a midway modulation definitely gives this track some points. Personally, I've never been the biggest fan of Western and Celtic instrumentation, although it undeniably gives this piece a unique sound and suits the chorus very well. The melody itself isn't bad by any means, but it's another one where I find I have to listen to it quite a few times to remember it, and the overall arrangement feels a bit chaotic without the melody being sticky enough to justify that. Next up, we've got Acorn Heights at number 16. This is one of the only pieces in the soundtrack in compound time, and that alone makes it unique. It definitely reminds me of Wild Woods in terms of instrumentation, and the groove is satisfying. We've also got some modal mixture in this piece for added interest as well, but ultimately, just like Whistlestop Summit, the melody itself isn't that catchy to begin with. It's very active and has a wide range, but that's also part of the downside. The simplest melodies tend to be the most memorable. Faraway Oasis is number 15, and now we're starting to get into the territory where I actively enjoy these tracks. The melody is overall quite solid and the harmony is quite simple, using the Mixolydian mode for that wilderness vibe. I love the moments where the trumpets blare the melody on the right and the horns respond with rips on the left, just a classic orchestration technique. Having the woodwinds combined with the choir in the second half, it just comes together to create a lush, full arrangement with a cinematic flair. If the harmony was a bit more interesting and the melody a tad more memorable, it'd likely be even higher on this list. I didn't expect to enjoy Dry Bones Burnout, but it absolutely deserves its place here at number 14 on the list. The Latin jazz vibes are awesome, with the rhythm section and horns performing so beautifully in harmony, and really gives us a great taste of the sheer variety that Mario Kart World soundtrack has to offer. I felt similarly with Bone Dry Dunes in Mario Kart 8. Perhaps the track wasn't the most fun to play, but I thought the soundtrack was underrated and quite fun to listen to. Next up, we've got Salty Salty Speedway at number 13. The beginning is nothing that special with the drums and piano accordion playing the melody, but the live violins come in to take over the melody and it sounds beautiful. Then the B section blows me away, with the accordion combined with lush strings performing the most gorgeous melody, while we hear a tritone progression in the harmony resolving to a deceptive cadence. It's absolutely breathtaking and a welcome moment of contrast before the track loops back to the top. Without that middle section, this would likely be a few spots lower on the list. I have to admit, I didn't expect High Sundae to be up here at number 12, but it really has grown on me over time. I didn't like it at all when I first heard the track on Deluxe, but the string melody is super catchy, and I quite like the semitone shift up to E flat from D in the last few seconds before the loop. It's really satisfying. I feel like World's version juiced it up ever so slightly from Deluxe, and I can't quite place my finger on it, but it's exciting, punchy, and matches the chorus perfectly. Just missing out on the top 10, we've got SNES Mario Circuit at number 11. Don't get me wrong, the tracks themselves are super basic, but the remix is anything but. My favorite moment is when the horns come together to play those syncopated stabs with the brass injecting themselves on the right while the saxes play the main melody on the left. It's just so good. I'm glad this finally got that big band glow up it always needed. Deluxe took a step in the right direction with the live drums, but World sealed the deal with this remix. Alright, now we kick off the top 10. The tracks I'd go back to over and over when on a road trip or simply need something to jam along to. Kicking things off, we have Peach Beach at number 10. The intro itself is incredible. We've got those octave stabs at the very beginning, followed by a few piccolo scales, all over an insanely groovy drum beat. The main melody is charming, but what really makes this for me is just the live feel of those drums and woodwinds taking the energy of this track to a whole new level. And with the course itself now split into 3 different sections, this is an amazing remake. At number 9, we've got DK Pass. This is another one of those tunes that really grew on me over time since I first played it on the DS, and upon hearing this remake, I was nearly brought to tears. The festive feel is still intact, the live violin is gorgeous, the percussion is light but steady, and those lush strings in the background just add a sense of gloss and finesse over the whole thing. The mix is also very well balanced and lends to a very satisfying listening experience throughout. Peach Stadium takes the number 8 spot and is absolutely well deserved. This sounds decently similar to Mario Bros. Circuit, which I slightly prefer, but still retains that harmonica melody and a cinematic opening vibe throughout. The intro fanfare with the horns and trumpets is wonderful, and the drum groove with those claps and shakers sets the racing tone right away. The B section boasts a sax solo with a flute response, accompanied by lush strings and harp glissando for a smooth contrast to the uptempo nature of the sections sandwiching it. The ascending chord progression at the very end just by the loop point seals the deal on an amazing piece of music. Next up at number 7, Starview Peak is a wonderful piece featuring a decently sparse mix, but every element included serves a deliberate purpose and is expertly crafted. The drum machines and piano complement the solo violin and synth melody so beautifully, and the B section takes this piece to another level with a momentary shift to an E major chord, adding a splash of color to the original key of G major. The addition of a solo viola to complement the violin is also welcome, adding a touch of class to the arrangement. Overall, just a beautiful piece that will absolutely become more and more nostalgic down the road. At number 6, we've got DK Spaceport. To probably no one's surprise, this piece is an absolute masterpiece, featuring multiple sections of the theme which are presented depending on your location on the course itself. From full big band to piano and guitar solos, we've got it all here. Especially in the final section when the tempo really ramps up and you're frantically trying to reach the finish line, this entire track takes you on a journey and incorporates that original DK riff wonderfully from start to finish. If I had to pick a section of the music I enjoy the most, it would be the very first one. The theme is presented for the very first time with a trombone, synth, sax, and trumpets all getting featured in the melody. Just glorious. Kicking off the top 5, we have Great Question Block Runes. This was a surprise for me. Guessing by the name of the course, I wouldn't have expected something so beautiful and melodic. The theme is adventurous, full of life, and just incredibly well orchestrated. The fact that it's also in E-flat major adds some color compared to a more neutral piece in C major, and also modulates to G-flat for a moment down the line, adding even more color. In terms of the arrangement, I love the tonal percussion and flute combo in the melody before the violin takes over to finish the phrase. Later, the guitar doubled the strings and brass for even more emphasis in the melody, adding so much fullness and intensity before the final section where the choir and strings create a gorgeous backdrop for the piccolo melody to shine. I honestly wish this piece lasted at least a few more seconds before the loop point. At number 4, Boo Cinema is awesome. It's the only spooky track on this list, but boy does it stand out in the best way. When I heard this for the first time in my reaction video, my immediate thought was, this sounds like Monsters Inc. or some other Pixar movie. The use of augmented triads in flutter-tongued woodwinds and tremolo strings adds a touch of anxiety, whereas the harmonized clarinets and whistle create that comedic feel that's just so good for Mario Kart. Not to mention, the drums lay that rhythmic foundation for the entire piece, allowing the syncopation in the melody to really come through. Short strings and brass mutes also decorate the arrangement, creating so many cool effects that I keep coming back to this tune. Number 3 is Mario Bros. Circuit. I was never the biggest fan of circuit themes, but this one is absolutely my favorite of the bunch up to this point. The interplay of the lead guitar, strings, harmonica, and rhythm section just come together to create such an exciting theme that suits the Western nature of the course perfectly and gives you a perfect feel of what this game is all about. The strings especially are so refreshing when they take the lead on those 3 descending chromatic chords near the end, putting the icing on the cake before we loop back to the beginning. I never expected to enjoy a circuit theme so much, but it is what it is. Crown City just makes me feel good things, just good vibes, you know? A bulk of it comes down to the incredibly infectious talkbox melody and hook. It's just so good. Accompanied by juicy harmony and an undeniable groove, this track is up here for good reason. It also features an incredibly clean mix and arrangement to wrap it all together, resulting in a piece I could listen to for hours without getting tired of it. One of my favorite parts of this piece is in the second half, when we're presented with a sequence of 2 5/1s and tritone substitutions that light up my jazz side like nothing else. Oh yeah, did I mention it's in E flat major as well? That's gotta count for something. And coming in at number 1, to probably no one's surprise, is Mario Kart World's Rainbow Road. This piece is absolutely glorious, and it combines the very best of previous Rainbow Road themes into one incredible piece of music. Like DK Spaceport, this piece contains multiple sections depending on where you are in the course, and each is incredibly unique. The melody, the harmony, the orchestration, all of it just makes you feel so nostalgic even upon the first playthrough. My favorite sections are undoubtedly the first and final sections, where the whole orchestra comes together to sing the melody with pride, and with the whole mix containing a dash of reverb, we get a larger-than-life feel that matches the outer space vibe of Rainbow Road perfectly. It's very rare that the best course also contains the best music, but I strongly believe Rainbow Road deserves the number 1 spot, hands down. So that's my ranking of every course's music in Mario Kart World, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's also the music that plays during the intermissions and free roam that are incredible as well, so maybe down the line I'll rank those if you're interested, just let me know. In the meantime, if you want to learn more about how to actually write music in the Mario Kart style, I've got a cheat sheet down below in the description that actually goes over some of these exact theory techniques these composers use to create these magical, adventurous sounding tracks, and I wanted to share with you as a gift for watching this video today. Also, before you go, if you agree or disagree with my picks, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see where you think I'm wrong or where I maybe reinforce certain placements for you. Don't be shy. Otherwise, thank you so much again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.